Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. You guys enjoying the evening? I mean, it's so tough to be the last speaker, come on. After two wonderful speeches. I am having such a blast. I met some great people. The yoga, I don't know about the yoga. Feet on the ground, hands on the chest, tree position. I couldn't participate, however, mentally I was there. It really helped me. But yeah, I was breathing nice. So thank you very much. Yeah. So guys, I have some 10 minutes here, all right? It's just some painful 10 minutes that you're gonna have to withstand. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit of who I was and what happened to me. Clearly, something happened to me. And I wanna share a little piece of, not advice, but I wanna share an idea with you guys towards the end, all right? So my name is Pedro Pimenta. I am 25 years old. I was born in Brazil. Yeah, you're looking there saying, oh, I knew there was a weird accent. Yes, it's a Brazilian American accent. And I'm the youngest of three brothers. They're both older than me. I consider them a mistake in my family. I've always been such a sportsy guy, you know, into sports, very sociable person. And then in 2009, when I was 18, I was really like studying a lot and, you know, not sleeping much, living the Brazilian life, you know, going to clubs and all that stuff. You guys from London know what I'm saying. And my immune system, in the result of that, you know, was trash. And I contracted a fatal form of bacterial meningitis. I had never heard about that, right? Also known as meningococcal disease. And in a few hours, in September 11th of 2009, in just a few hours, I was a healthy, tall guy, and hospitalized, less than 1% chances of survival in a coma. I can talk a lot about that now, don't have the time. But I spent 6 months in a hospital bed, 2 comas, 2 survival situations of less than 1% chance to, you know, survive. And I left it 6 months later with a huge price. Survival came at a price, which was to lose both my legs above the knees and both my arms above the elbow. To make it worse, when I researched on the internet, I didn't find anyone like me that was actually living a normal life, right? And the doctors would come to me and my family and they would say, all right, here's the deal. You know, Pedro is gonna use 3 to 5 times more energy just to walk, if he walks, right? So if he takes 10 steps, good job, Pedro, you did well, better than a lot of others. When it comes to his arms, Pedro is gonna have to have a caregiver next to him at all time because it's just too difficult to be missing 2 hands and do everything that your daily tasks, and you know, one would go, brushing teeth, shaving, you know, let alone driving or anything like that. So I was encouraged with these kinds of words when I left the hospital, right? And for months, I just know, maybe, you know, I thought they were right because I didn't see much progress. Just so you have an idea, 2 months after I left the hospital, my biggest goal that I checked off a list, I had a huge list of goals. The biggest goal was going from laying down in the morning to sitting up by myself. Because 6 months in a hospital bed will destroy you, right? It took me 2 months to be able to accomplish that. And I had my first pair of legs, and they felt weird. They didn't feel like actually walking with legs. Actually, probably my first big record was taking 10 steps without sitting down. And when I got my first pair of arms, which is like these ones, this was 6 years ago. For me, it was like living life with chopsticks, right? But I wasn't eating sushi. I was brushing my teeth. I was shaving, I was dressing up. I was doing all those things that are so simple, but now are huge challenges, right? And months had passed, And I just didn't get used to any of that new life. Until one day, it was a Tuesday afternoon. I'm laying in bed, Tuesday afternoon, looking out of the window, and I see the cars passing by and people in a rush. Talk about rushed London, guys. People are knocking me out of the sidewalks all the time here. It's a different conversation. But I'm looking there out of the window, and people are living their lives. And I look at myself, and I'm not. And then I realized that, hey, if the world stopped, if I give up on my goals and my dreams, the world won't stop spinning for me. These people won't stop their lives. My family will be sad, but my brothers still go on dates with their wives, travel. They'll still get promotions. They'll still get their lives going, but not me, right? So one of the big realization I had that day was, okay, what happened to me was terrible. It sucks, right? It's one of the worst things you can imagine to happen to you. But what's worse than that? It's doing nothing about it, right? So then I decided that day that I was gonna fight. And I was gonna fight. So then I went on a Donald Trump spree. Donald Trump. I hate the guys, by the way. Hope he doesn't send me back to Brazil now that I live in Florida. Can you cut that off YouTube, Google? I don't want to get political here. Why I say that? I started going from clinic to clinic, and if you came to me and say, Pedro, here is a wheelchair, you're fired. Pedro, here's a wheelchair, you're fired. Pedro, look at your caregiver, you're fired. And I went through several clinics in Brazil and then in the United States until I ended up in the middle of nowhere. In Oklahoma City, the United States, all you see there is trucks, cows, and grass. And a prosthetic clinic there. But I was training there with veterans from Afghanistan and Iraq, including Royal Marines. And such a good spirit, also civilians. And we had what we call the boot camp, which was this extreme kind of training, put the legs on, arms in the morning, only take them at night. Back in the days, the doctor would say, imagine Pedro in the school campus, imagine Pedro in the airport. It's just too difficult. And guess what we were doing at boot camp? Going to the airport with no flight to catch, just to walk through the airport, right? And that kind of stuff. And one big message that they gave me there was like, Pedro, stop adapting the world around you, looking for answers around you, and start adapting yourself to your surroundings. Become someone adaptable to your problems. And I started applying that to everything in my life. And then it started to change. From there, something magical happened. Me and my mates, we were there rehabbing together, and we decided to stop using a wheelchair that day, December 6, 2010. We all just gave up in our wheelchairs. Since then, I haven't sit in one. I donated it to the poor there in Brazil, and I went back to that list and I started tackling that list. It was just a mindset change. But more than that, I became addicted to being challenged. It is addicting. The more I crossed items off the list, the more I wanted to add new items, right? And from there, I just kept going. I moved to the United States by myself. My mom was heartbroken. I trashed all my adaptive equipment, including my wheelchair. I donated, and then everything else. I started driving an adaptive vehicle, became the first person to lose 4 limbs, to drive a car with no adaptations. Watch out if you go to Florida, man, I'm out there. And then a triathlon. Started running, signed up for triathlon. Snowboarding again. I went back snowboarding. And just living life to the fullest, right? So now, I'm standing here today in front of you wonderful people. And if there's one thing that in 10 minutes I can share with you, and Nancy is here like, okay, we are overtime so much, just share it, please. I will share it. If there's one thing that I want to share with you guys today, let's go all back to that day that I was laying there watching life going by the window. Something struck me that day. I thought, what if I just give up right here? What if I just accept what people are telling me, what the status quo is imposing on me? What will happen? No one will argue. In my life, no one ever argues. If there's someone in this world that has all the excuses not to do things, that person is me. They all make so much sense. So I realized there that I needed to become accountable to my own success. If I wanted to achieve big things, I needed to set those standards high, right? I needed to draw the excellence life and not accept anything below it. Because you know what? No one else would do that for me. I'm in a room here full of entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And I see a lot of connections between entrepreneurship and my recovery. Except for missing all these limbs and stuff. You guys don't have to worry about that. But, you know, we're born and raised, and we have like the Matrix, blue and red pills. Any fans of Matrix, I just love them. The movies nowadays, they suck, right, compared to back then. So you have the blue and the red pill. You know, you have the safety, stable pill, which they offer you. And my dad so wanted me to take it. That is, you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get good grades, and get a good degree, and you go out there pitching your degree to companies, big companies, and you get a job, hopefully stable job, and there you go. Or you take the path less traveled of entrepreneurship, which is very uncertain, right? And guess what? If you decided not to become one and take the other pill, anyone will argue. No one will argue. So in entrepreneurship, like in my recovery, if you don't set those standards high for yourself, and if you don't remain accountable to your own success, where do you get? You get nowhere. So if I can share one piece of, not advice, I'm too young to give advice to anyone, but one piece of, just an idea, is do not be afraid and do not accept the status quo. Do not be afraid to set the line of excellence up there. And once you do it, do not accept anything below it. Thank you very much. Thank you.